Tarik Skubal is a Dodger. The back-to-back World Series champs just added a back-to-back Cy Young Award winner, and the Dodgers rotation may have officially become TBE, the best ever.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer this MLB season.
I'm Harry Ruiz, and it's time for a special edition of Locked On Dodgers coming to you on a Sunday because the Dodgers just made the biggest deal possible ahead of the trade deadline. They struck a deal with the Detroit Tigers to land Tarik Skubal, who will now join LA's powerhouse. Late on Saturday night, right after the Dodgers lost to the Boston Red Sox, which nobody absolutely cares about because Jeff Passan and John Heyman broke the news that made everyone forget about that game against the Red Sox. The Dodgers and the Tigers had come to an agreement on a trade that will land Tarik Skubal with the back-to-back World Series champs. And when you look at what the Dodgers are trying to accomplish, it's easy to understand why they were willing to make this move. The Dodgers, they're trying to become the first National League team ever to win 3 consecutive championships. Something that hasn't happened in the big leagues in a quarter century. They already had a roster full of stars. They already had one of the pitching staffs in all of baseball. And then one of the best pitchers in the sport became available. So the Dodgers pounced. They went after him, and according to reports, they got him, and the price was 2 pitchers, right-handers River Ryan and Brady Smith, and outfielder Zyhir Hope to Detroit. That right there, in the larger scheme of things, it's not as big as a package as I thought that it was going to cost the Dodgers. I thought it would end up being something like, for example, in 2018 for Manny Machado, the Dodgers ended up giving 5 prospects to the Baltimore Orioles. Right here, it's 3. Yes, 3 guys that are in the top 30 in the organization. Zyhir Hope, who's considered the 25th best prospect in the sport. River Ryan, who's a top 75 guy. But those are projects. Those aren't guys that are going to help the Dodgers win the World Series right now. River Ryan maybe if he had been healthy, but he missed last year. Then he came back this year, immediately got hurt. He returned and then got hurt again. So for the Dodgers, they're giving up River Ryan, who is the most major league ready player out of the 3. Because when it comes to Brady Smith, he's a 3rd rounder from 3 years ago. He's a good prospect, not great. Zyhir Hope, the Dodgers have a lot of outfield prospects right now in the system. So if that was the price to acquire Tarik Skubal, the Dodgers are happy that it was that and not the potential packages that Emmett Sheehan's name had been floating around for a while. You look over at Justin Robleski, who with the All-Star season that he is having this year, his name was being floated around. They didn't got used in this trade for Tarik Skubal, and now the Dodgers can end up being the ones sending Sheehan to another team, sending potentially Eric Lauer or Alex Call to other teams, and then getting prospects in return to cover the spots used by these guys. But at the end of the day, the most important part for the Dodgers in this equation is that they get the 2-time reigning and defending American League Cy Young Award winner in Tarik Skubal, who has elite velocity. He's not simply a pitcher who throws hard. His fastball, yes, it reaches triple digits, but that changeup, it's one of the most difficult pitches in all of baseball for hitters to handle. And he has enough weapons to attack lineups in different ways. And that combination matters and a lot because there's guys who have velo without command. We've seen it from Roki Sasaki this season. You can have a great secondary pitch, but that doesn't have the fastball to combine it, to make it work. Skubal, he has the ability to challenge hitters both with premium stuff while also keeping them off balance. So that is massive for this organization. They were willing to part ways with 3 prospects in exchange for 3 months of Tarik Skubal. You know he's going to pitch in August and September. And October, that's the goal. Pitch the entire month. Go out there and pitch in the DS, pitch in the CS, and pitch in the World Series. Best case scenario for the Dodgers, it's just once per series, and we're not having a heart attack like we did last year in Toronto, having to go all the way to Game 7 with the way that series went, the back and forth, the back against the wall, going down into Toronto, being forced to win the 2 games to be able to win the World Series and doing exactly that. That was massive for this organization. But for the Dodgers right now, Tarik Skubal just has this team now on a different level. They were already the best team in the sport. It might not be the hottest. Let's give that title right now to the Red Sox, who have won 22 out of their last 25 games. They're the hottest team in baseball right now as the calendar turns from July to August. Can they keep it up for 2 more months? A team that has the ability to be stable, steady from here all the way through the end of the season. It's the Dodgers with the type of rotation that they're handling right now, with the bats knowing that they can pick it up in the snap of a finger like that. It wasn't so great this weekend seeing them only score 4 on Friday and being in it for most of the game, and then at the end, bullpen just crumbles. Lose that game, and then Saturday, Yoshinobu Yamamoto gives you a fantastic start. You only score 2 runs. You lose that game as well. When you add Tarik Skubal to this rotation, man, he ain't going to be hitting dingers. He ain't going to be scoring runs, but he's going to be limiting the opposing team to 3 and fewer runs pretty much every single time that he's out there. And I understand the part that he's a rental, but at the same time, this is an audition for the Dodgers. This is the moment where you don't do nothing different. You just be you as a franchise. Treat the family of Tarik Skubal the same way that you treat the family of Miguel Rojas, of Kike Hernandez, of any other player. That's going to be something that Skubal likes. You put him on that charter with the rest of the team, players only on one plane, the other plane, coaches and staff, and he's going to be like, damn, this is cool. I didn't have this in Detroit. I dig this. You just give him the treatment you give every player that makes this organization top notch in sports, and it's going to be a great factor to convince him to stay after his contract runs out. Once the World Series is over and hopefully the Dodgers get the three-peat, he's not only going to live the experience of, damn, it's awesome being a Dodger. Damn, I want another World Series. Damn, this team can pay me a lot of money. You add all of those 3 together, and it's like, this is a perfect landing spot. That's why it had been reported previously that this was a team that Tarik Skubal was planning or hoping and looking towards potentially signing in the offseason once the 2026 season's over. Now he gets to live it. And the big deal right here, it was a trade, man. The Dodgers were willing to give up those prospects, and that makes them a dangerous team. And shout out to the guys that were giving up, especially River Ryan, man. I was excited about him, and a lot of you in the comment section throughout the beginning of the season were like, where's River Ryan? We want to see him. We want to see him. Injuries have just been playing dirty on him. And unfortunately, he hasn't been able to be up in the big leagues as consistently as he wanted to since coming up a couple years back. Surgery, then recovery, then being able to go back to AAA this year and not being able to maintain his playing time due to injuries. That sucks. I'll still wish him luck. I'll still wish Zyhir Hope luck, a guy that we looked at as a potential guy to come up in the big leagues in the next couple years. Now, that might be sped up in Detroit, and he might be playing up there sooner than he would have with the Dodgers, where you got that center field position locked up by Andy Pajes, the right field position locked up by Kyle Tucker, and left field, you got Teoscar Hernandez right there right now. Let's see how long he ends up staying with that spot. But man, Tarik Skubal, he's a proven difference maker that the Dodgers just got. So even though we love the prospects, we love a guarantee even more. Same way that when they signed Blake Snell, The same way that when they got Tyler Glasnow, those were guarantees in Major League Baseball. Those are guys that, when healthy, which is the big when, if, they're fantastic. You're adding another guy. Even Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he was a question mark coming off of Japanese baseball. If he was going to be able to maintain that level coming to the big leagues, it has been answered really quickly for the 2025 World Series MVP. Damn right he can keep that level. Now you got those three guys. Add, this case, Tarik Skubal to the top of that rotation, or the two spot in that rotation, and you still have Shohei Ohtani. This right here is incredible that the Dodgers were able to strike when the iron was hot, and now they were already in great position to get that three-peat. Now even more. I want to ask you, to close segment number 1, what grade do you give the Dodgers for this trade? Drop your take in the comments or let us know on any of our social networks, or also hit up the Locked On Dodgers listener line. You can leave us a voicemail or a text at 279-3-LOCK because we want to hear where you stand. We want to hear your take on this trade that the Dodgers just struck with the Detroit Tigers. All right, coming up on Locked On Dodgers, the amount of high-level starting pitchers that the Dodgers could have available by October is simply ridiculous, and adding Skubal could completely change the way that they build their postseason pitching staff. A big thank you goes out to our friends at Amazon for this limited break. This back-to-school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon. Look, we all know how wild back-to-school shopping gets. You kick off with a short list and suddenly you're deep in supplies, clothes, lunch gear, tech, and a bunch of stuff you didn't even plan for. It stacks up fast. Then, when it's 9 p.m. the night before school starts and suddenly somebody remembers they need folders, notebooks, markers, and apparently 12 other things nobody mentioned until now, nothing gets the heart rate up quite like emergency school shopping. I'm convinced that Prime's Deliver Tomorrow Before 7 a.m. feature was created exclusively for parents in this moment. So, here's the move. With Amazon's low back-to-school prices, just spend less on your kids, because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school at Amazon and spend less on your kids. Are you new here? Welcome. Everydayers, you already know you're the heartbeat of our show. It's easy and free to help us out. Subscribe and like our content on YouTube. Drop a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, and hit up the Locked On Dodgers listener line, 279-3-LOCKED. That's 279-356-2533. I know you all have takes on Tarik Skubal being traded to the Dodgers, so I want to hear you. Drop a voicemail, or also you can shoot us a text if that's easier for you. The Dodgers rotation is simply ridiculous. Tarik Skubal is about to officially be a Dodger. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is already here. Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow, they're working their way back. When healthy, we got to see how dominant Shohei Ohtani can be on the mound. Justin Robleski, he earned an all-star bid this season. Roki Sasaki, he's on the rise, and LA is undefeated when Eric Lauer has pitched this season. The Dodgers may not just have the deepest rotation in baseball, they may have more legitimate postseason starting pitching options than they can realistically use. And that is a good problem to have. I mean, you look at how most teams, they have 3 starters or 4 at most when it comes to the postseason, because a lot of them, they have 1 ace, a number 2 that's a really good pitcher, and a number 3 that they trust. They feel confident when they go out there in the postseason with that. The Dodgers, you can look at them last season in October. They absolutely steamrolled through the National League with a starting rotation of Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, and Shohei Ohtani. Between these 4 guys, in the 10 games they played in the National League postseason part of the playoffs, 70 innings nearly. 10 games, 10 earned runs. That's ridiculous to only allow 10 earned runs between the wild card, divisional, and championship series. That's on another level. And you compare that starting rotation or not even compare, add to that starting rotation Tarik Skubal, the back-to-back AL Cy Young Award winner, one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. It's simply ridiculous. The situation right now, though, is Shohei Ohtani. He hasn't pitched since July 3rd because of his knee issue, plus the discomfort on his right biceps. The Dodgers, they are playing it very careful with him because he's not just a pitcher like Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tarik Skubal, Blake Snell, and Tyler Glasnow. Shohei Ohtani, he's your leadoff hitter. He's your designated hitter. He's the man that in 2024, in his first year with the Dodgers, had a 50-50 season. He's the man that in the following year, he broke the single season record in the home runs for the second year in a row in his second season with the Boys in Blue. This year, he was going to try to win the Cy Young, but unfortunately, with the health situation, with him not being able to be out there every turn that he has had available over the last month when it comes to pitching, that's out of the window right now. So right now he's resting, and to be honest right now, just looking at how the Dodgers, they have a 10-game lead in the division. They're more than likely going to get a bye when it comes to the first round of the playoffs, not going into the wild card for the second year in a row and going straight to the DS. In my opinion, it's about letting him rest, letting him take his time. No need to have Shohei Ohtani out on the mound again this season. You add Tarik Skubal, and that's your insurance policy. If Blake Snell doesn't come back, if Tyler Glasnow doesn't come back, knock on wood for both. If Shohei Ohtani isn't available to pitch, you already have Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tarik Skubal, 1-2. Hopefully the other three don't happen at the same time, the not being available for Snell, Glasnow, and Ohtani, but I have a feeling at least two of those guys are going to be available in the postseason, and more than likely it's going to be the two that have been recovering now for multiple months. Blake Snell, he returned from being on the IL at the beginning of the season, one start, out. He should be back. Tyler Glasnow, he started the season early in the year, back problems, out for multiple months, despite originally being told by Dave Roberts that it was going to be a thing that maybe one start he misses, maybe no IL, on the IL for multiple months. The Dodgers, right now, they just have such a deep roster when it comes to pitchers, because if it ends up being Yamamoto, Skubal, Snell, and Glasnow, if that's your postseason rotation, that's going to send some of the guys that are currently in the rotation to the bullpen. Roki Sasaki, who has looked way better in his last 4 starts. Justin Robleski, who has been a godsend to this rotation with all the injuries that they've had. There's still a little bit over 24 hours before the trade deadline where Eric Lauer might be shipped to another team. So that leaves you with Edwin Diaz as your closer, Tanner Scott as your setup guy who's had a really good resurgence season after a bad 2025, Alex Vesia, Edgardo Enriquez, and between these 6 guys I mentioned, 3 are lefties, 3 are righties, so that leaves you with a final spot that will be very interesting to see who they go with. Would it be Blake Trinan returning? Would it be Evan Phillips, who they've been giving a shot after a shot after a shot of being able to stay up there? You look at Brock Stewart, and you look over at Will Klein, both of them injured right now, but possibilities that have delivered for the Dodgers in the first 2/3 of the season. So right here, the Dodgers, they have choices. And this gives Dave Roberts and the coaching staff and the front office a lot of flexibility that other teams, they don't have. And to be honest, this right here gives you the best rotation, in my opinion, in the history of baseball. The thing is, of course, health. When Snell comes back, when Glasnow comes back, with their returns, are they going to pitch at their best? Are they going to be healthy enough to take a big 7 or 8 inning load in the postseason like Glasnow and Snell did in the last playoffs? Shohei Ohtani, for me, just DH him. But the Dodgers, they still want him to pitch. So this right here with Skubal, it's the insurance policy of all insurance policies, because it's not just a guy where it's like, okay, he's not Eric Lauer who's coming in to consume innings to give the Dodgers a guy that you know that he's going to be able to start every 6 days. Tarik Skubal, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. The last 2 years, it was him, no doubt, in the American League. In the National League, Paul Skeens. Rookie of the Year, Cy Young. This year, big dip in production. Tarik Skubal, he was hurt, and that was a big question mark if he was going to be available at the trade deadline because of the way that his body was kind of breaking down, but innovative procedure done, back sooner than anybody expected. Boom. Pitching sub-3 ERA since he returned. Now he's a Dodger. But no matter what happens with the pitching, with the guys available or not, when you have Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tarik Skubal at the top of your rotation, and man, that's literally 1A and 1AA. You can't even call him 1B because any other team, you know Skubal is their ace and he's at the top of their rotation. With the Dodgers, I would just give Yoshinobu Yamamoto the respect that he deserves and leave him as the top guy in the rotation. But obviously, it could also go depending on matchups on who you would rather have out there. But if everyone is healthy, opposing teams may have a very difficult time finding a break in this Dodgers rotation. And us as Dodgers fans, we definitely are happy about that. So let me close segment 2 asking you, if the Dodgers are fully healthy in October, which 4 pitchers and in what order would you choose to start them in the postseason? Drop your answer in the comments or hit me up on social. I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and on TikTok at Harry Ruiz_. Next on Locked On Dodgers, the Dodgers are going to continue hearing how they are ruining baseball. But if other teams had the prospects to strike a deal, why did LA end up with him?
Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's super easy to play. You just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. And best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is just another fun way to stay engaged with everyday games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get the chance to make your prediction before first pitch, right? No Dodger game today, so you can maybe take a little Dodger break, but no reason you shouldn't jump in there and take a look at somebody like Yordan Alvarez, right? That guy is absolutely having an incredible year. So go check it out. Are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of MLB.
Check out Pete Fox on our YouTube channel with the Locked On Dodgers postcast right after the final out for immediate reaction of every Dodgers game. Dodgers haters are having another meltdown. The reactions and complaints are coming. I've seen them all over social media, and somewhere somebody is already typing that the Dodgers have ruined baseball because they traded for Tarik Skubal. There will be plenty of frustration from fans who are tired of seeing the Dodgers acquire another star. And there will be debates about payroll. There will be debates about revenue sharing. There will be debates about whether MLB needs a salary cap, a salary floor, or major changes to its economic system. But here's the deal. The Skubal trade is not as simple as saying the Dodgers bought another superstar. This right here was a trade. The Dodgers did not sign Skubal as a free agent. At least not yet. They had to convince Detroit that their prospect package was worth accepting. And the Tigers chose to take River Ryan, Brady Smith, and Zyhir Hope into their team, sacrificing Tarik Skubal. And not even Tarik Skubal for this year, next year, and the one after that, which would be the case for example, Hunter Green with the Reds. If somebody traded for him, at least you know that he would be available for your franchise in the future. No, this is Tarik Skubal for the month of August, for the month of September, and for however deep you go in October, which in the case of the Dodgers, it's pretty much a given that it's the entire month of October. So the Dodgers are getting him for 3 months. But right here, now it's an audition too for this team. It's to show him how this team treats the families. It's to show them, Tarik Skubal, how players get treated pretty much like kings by the front office. How many teams have 2 charter flights leaving from the city they play in to where they're going, with one of them being players and the other flight being the one with the coaches, the staff, and everybody else? Pretty sure the Dodgers are the only one. This right here is an audition, and look, the reality is the Dodgers have financial advantages, right? Nobody needs to pretend otherwise. Their revenue is enormous. They can take on contracts that other teams would avoid, but money alone doesn't create what the Dodgers have. The farm system, it's full not only of players, but of valuable prospects. The Dodgers, they've been able to combine successfully their resources with strong scouting, with player development, with analytics, and roster management. Yes, they go over and get Shohei Ohtani for $700 million, but at the same time, they go and trade Michael Busch over to Chicago. They go and trade Gavin Lux to Cincinnati. They go and trade other players Dustin May last year, that then they end up getting prospects that are valuable for them to then use in a trade like this. And that way, they can use that depth when a big opportunity pops up. And look at how these players arrived. Literally, River Ryan, he got acquired in a trade with the San Diego Padres where the Dodgers sent over Matt Beatty. Zyhir Hope, he was part of that trade where the Dodgers sent Michael Busch and Yency Almonte to the Cubs. Those deals don't get not nearly the type of attention that the one that the Dodgers did this weekend. But the Dodgers, they identified talent. They developed it and eventually turned some of that talent into Tarik Skubal. That right there is organizational work. And that's why the Dodgers are in the position they are. They've done this repeatedly. They've acquired prospects in smaller trades. They've developed them into the players that they can potentially become. And look, sometimes they end up being a trade that you regret. Jordan Alvarez, before the current regime took over. Man, that's a big regret that the Dodgers have, right? How can you think the Dodgers could have had Jordan Alvarez on this team? He's killing it in Houston. You have other players. Michael Busch, he became an all-star with Chicago. He had no fit in the Dodgers. The Dodgers have Freddie Freeman for the rest of this year, next year, and potentially an extension. Blocks first base for a while. You could even look at Dalton Rushing, which I wouldn't be surprised if next year he gets traded because you have Will Smith. I know that it's great having Will Smith and Dalton Rushing, but there's going to be a time where hopefully Will Smith is out there for most of the games and not missing half the season with injuries. It would be kind of redundant, and you would also want the other player to get an opportunity with another team to become the best version of himself instead of just being the backup for his entire career. There's guys like Austin Barnes, who that was a big role for him for most of his career, being the backup guy in this organization. First with, I believe he was still around with AJ Ellis, and then with Will Smith. It worked for him. He was able to have a long major league career and being able to cash in those checks every 2 weeks. Good, but there's guys like Dalton Rushing where you can see the talent. He needs an opening. And the Dodgers, if they trade him, you better believe they're going to get great prospects in return. And look, stop with all the BS. Dodgers, they had all the advantage in the world to get Tarik Skubal. The Milwaukee Brewers, they have one of the strongest player development systems in all of baseball. The Tampa Bay Rays, they consistently identify and develop talent. Both of these teams are having fantastic seasons. The Brewers, I think they got the same record as the Dodgers. If not, one behind, one in front, whatever. They're up there with the Dodgers in the National League. Tampa Bay Rays, they have the best record in the American League in an AL East where they compete with powerhouses like the Yankees and the Red Sox who spend money out of their you-know-what. And they're first place. They could have easily given up 3 prospects for Tarik Skubal for a rental for 3 months, the same way that the Dodgers are giving him up. They could have gone all in to win this World Series, to be the hero for the rest of the baseball world who isn't a Dodger fan to be like, yes, you got Tarik Skubal, go and beat the Dodgers now. They could have done it, and they didn't do it. Because that's their lifeline. They like having prospects. They like having players on economic deals that they have control of their earnings for multiple seasons. And then you go into arbitration, and then you go and do all that dance of going back and forth with how much money one earns and one doesn't earn. They could have done it with Skubal and traded 3 other guys for him. They didn't do it. If the Tigers accepted the trade, it wasn't to make the Dodgers better. It was because it was the best trade possible. You don't think they would have liked getting 4 prospects or 5 prospects out of any other team instead of the 3 the Dodgers gave up? Of course. It's not only quantity, it's quality. The Dodgers gave them 3 great players. I'm pretty sure they went with the other teams and, hey man, this is what I'm getting offered. 2 pitchers, an outfielder. Can you match it or give me something better? More than likely, other teams said no, and the Dodgers end up with Skubal. But look, every trade has its risk. Let's see if Skubal is able to stay healthy since he came back from that surgery he got into a month into the season. He's been great. Hopefully, they're able to maintain Tarik Skubal up on the mound every 6 days, and he's able to be out there in the postseason. I'm very, very excited for this trade for the Dodgers. If a player like Skubal becomes available, the Dodgers don't need him, but they end up going for him, and that pisses off the rest of baseball. But let's get one thing clear. The Dodgers, they traded for him. They haven't paid him yet when it comes to a big free agent contract, but I got a feeling the Dodgers are the front runners right now. They're the leaders in the clubhouse to get Tarik Skubal once the new league year kicks in, once the World Series gets played. I'm pretty sure, and can you imagine that? Tarik Skubal coming to LA in 3 months, becoming a big piece of this roster, winning potentially a World Series. Do you think he's going to want to go elsewhere? Hell no. He's a California kid. He lives in Arizona. That's close to home. You don't have to be going to Detroit. You don't have to be miserable with the weather that they have in that area of the country. You can stay in California, have nice weather, because even Arizona, this time of year, I live in Vegas. It's hot as hell. It's 115 degrees, even early in the morning. You go to the Dodgers, you don't even have to go back to Arizona. Stay in Cali, and you'll have a good life, and I'm pretty sure big bucks are going to be coming his way via the Dodgers. But rest of baseball, keep crying. The Dodgers, they're just better than everyone else. And this right here is the example. They didn't spend $300 million to get Tarik Skubal. They sent 3 prospects. Any other team could have done it. Any other team could have matched the offer or made one better. They didn't do it. So, rest of baseball has to deal with this monster, with this powerhouse that the Dodgers are right now. So, it's time to close the show, and I want to ask you to do so. Do you think the criticism of the Skubal trade will be fair, or do you think other teams need to be more aggressive when a player like Skubal becomes available? Let us know over in the YouTube comments or reach out via social media. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary, the #1 sports podcast network. We'll be back on Monday with Travis joining me to talk about the rest of the moves that the Dodgers make or don't make ahead of the trade deadline, 3 p.m. Pacific time on Monday. Will Eric Lauer still be on the team? Will Alex Call still be on the team? Will the Dodgers get rid of other players? What will happen? We'll be talking all about it on Monday's episode of Locked On Dodgers. If you're watching on YouTube, stick around and check out the 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network channel. And if you're listening on audio, make Locked On MLB your second listen of the day. I appreciate you riding with me today on a Sunday. Until next time, keep it real, keep it Dodger Blue.